class, my name is Mary Grace Gordon, and my study is called The Complicated Relationship Between Money and Happiness. I'm an English American Literature major, and I would like to teach high school English in the future. So this video is pretty much just a compilation of all that we've done so far this semester, and this particular slide comes from my literature review. So according to a study done in 2016, it says that most people tend to worry more about how their time is spent as opposed to how they're spending their money or how much money that they have, because people view time as money, and therefore if someone feels like they're wasting their time, they feel like they're also wasting money. In another study, this study didn't exactly analyze the relationship between money and happiness, but it did look at the difference in how positive emotions are experienced in the upper class versus the middle and lower class participants. And what they found is pretty much that the upper class, they felt more self-oriented positive emotions, while the middle and lower class participants felt more others-oriented positive emotions. So, for example, like doing something nice for someone else would make a middle or lower class person more happy, and that's more likely in that situation. And finally, this actually pertains more to my hypothesis, which we'll see on the next slide. But this study claims that people are happier whenever they're able to experience more, and they're especially happy whenever they're able to tell others about the experiences that they've had. I then present to you my hypothesis, which is that happiness is not dependent on money, but money provides more opportunity for happiness, or to be happy, essentially. This is a positive relationship because the more money, more opportunity, more happiness. The independent variable would be money in this situation, while the dependent variable would be like the opportunities that are available and also happiness. So this slide comes from the data collection that we're able to do this semester, and those took the form of the quantitative surveys and the qualitative interviews. And so what I found from my quantitative surveys was that my peers were more likely to feel strongly, whether it be strongly agree or strongly disagree, when the questions had to do with their family and how money affects their family, or just the relationship there. I was also able to gather from my survey that 100% of my peers claim that they do have a direct relationship between money and happiness, and that money does actually make them happy, so without any other things considered there. And finally, from my qualitative interview, I was able to interview one of my coworkers who had recently moved out of his parents' house and on his own, and so he was able to tell me about how his opinions have changed since moving out and having to pay his own way. Initially, he said that the fact that his dad worked allowed their family to have more money, but he would rather have spent time with his dad, whereas now he views more the importance of working and how he would rather have more money probably than spend time with his family. So moving on to the limitations. Any study has limitations, and I think one of a shared limitation of the class would be time. Given more time, we obviously would have been able to maybe develop better methods of research, whether it be in the terms of surveys, experiments, and then we definitely would have been able to collect more thorough, maybe more efficient data as well. For the future, in terms of future experiments, I think that an experiment that pertains to the differences in economic backgrounds and just how happiness is determined just in terms of like the different economic backgrounds, pretty much, and that would be an important thing to incorporate into the experiment. An experimental design that I had for this semester would be allocating a certain amount of resources to each participant and having them choose what they wanted to spend their hypothetical money on. future researchers should look at things should look at how family influences happiness and how family influences a relationship between money and happiness. And I think that ultimately, maybe it might not be so opportunity based as it is more family based. So I think that's something that I would definitely look into. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you all have a great summer.